Section 1 of Little Saint Elizabeth and Other Stories. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ashley Jane. Little Saint Elizabeth and Other Stories by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Little Saint Elizabeth, Part 1. She had not been brought up in America at all. She had been brought up in France in a beautiful château, and she had been born heiress to a great fortune, but nevertheless just now she felt as if she were very poor indeed, and yet her home was in one of the most splendid houses in New York. She had a lovely suite of apartments of her own, though she was only 11 years old. She had her own carriage and a saddle horse, a train of masters and governesses and servants, and was regarded by all the children of the neighborhood as a sort of grand and mysterious little princess, whose incomings and outgoings were to be watched with the greatest interest. "There she is!" they would cry, flying to their windows to look at her. "She is going out in her carriage. She is dressed all in black velvet and splendid fur. There she is! That is her own carriage. She has millions of money, and she can have anything she wants. Jane says so. She is very pretty, too, but she is so pale and has such big, sorrowful black eyes. I should not be sorrowful if I were in her place, but Jane says the servants say she is always quiet and looks sad. Her maid says she lived with her aunt, and her aunt made her too religious." She rarely lifted her large dark eyes to look at them with any curiosity. She was not accustomed to the society of children. She had never had a child companion in her life, and these little Americans, who were so very rosy and gay, and who went out to walk or drive with groups of brothers and sisters, and even ran in the street laughing and playing and squabbling healthily, these children amazed her. Poor little Saint Elizabeth! She had not lived a very natural or healthy life herself, and she knew absolutely nothing of real childish pleasures. You see, it occurred in this way. When she was a baby of 2 years, her young father and mother died, within a week of each other, of a terrible fever, and the only near relatives the little one had were her Aunt Clotilda and Uncle Bertrand. Her Aunt Clotilda lived in Normandy, her Uncle Bertrand in New York. As these two were her only guardians, and as Bertrand de Rochemont was a gay bachelor, fond of pleasure and knowing nothing of babies, it was natural that he should be very willing that his elder sister should undertake the rearing and education of the child. "Only," he wrote to Mademoiselle de Rochemont, "don't end up by training her for an abbess, my dear Clotilda." There was a very great difference between these two people. The distance between the gray stone château in Normandy and the brownstone mansion in New York was not nearly so great as the distance and difference between the two.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?